Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you? How's everything? The lesson today is about more line plots and length. This is continuing for the lesson before. Let's watch this visual learning animation video to understand more. And then after the video, we'll solve some exercises. The most important things, you should get prepared in this lesson to get a ruler with an inches unit. Let's start watching the video.
How can you measure lengths and use line plots to show the data? Think about this question during the lesson. Julio is measuring some lengths of yarn. How can he use a ruler to measure the nearest half inch?
Nearest half inch, it means, for example, 1 inch, 1.5, 2 inches, 2.5, 3 inches, 3.5. So between each hole, 2 parts, because to the nearest half out of 2.
The distance between each whole number on this ruler is 1 inch. Each red mark shows 1/2 inch. So you can think of each whole inch as 2 1/2 inches. Line up one end of the object with 0. The 5th 1/2 inch mark is closest to the right end of the yarn. So, to the nearest half inch, the yarn measures 5/2 inches. What is another way to write 5/2 inches?
So here,
Select your answer.
because to the nearest half inches, so it's out of 2. So we will start with 0, then 1/2, 2/2, which is the 1, 3/2, which is between 1 and 2, in the middle, which is 1.5, 4/2, which is 2. Then between 2 and 3, we have 5/2, which is what? 2.5. It means 2, 1/2.
This is 2 whole inches and 1 1/2 inch. You can write this as 2 1/2 inches. Julio measured 9 other lengths of yarn. The lengths of all the yarn Julio measured are shown below.
Okay, let's try. These are some yarn and the lengths of them. Let's try it.
Drag dots onto the line plot to show the data.
Okay, here I have some data. I will drag the dots into each one. Okay, first of all, let's see how many 2.5 do we have? 1. Only 1. So I will drag 1 point only to 2.5. Okay, let's see 3. How many 3 do we have? 1, 2, and 3. So I will drag 3 points into the length 3 inches, because we have 3 yarns with a length 3. The next one, 3.5. Let's see how many 3.5 do we have here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I will drag 4 points into 3.5 inches. And the last one, which is the 4 inches. How many 4 inches do I have? 1 and 2.
Julio then recorded the data in a line plot. You can use this line plot to see that the length that occurred most often was 3 1/2 inches. How do you know that the 3 1/2 inch length occurred most often?
So here the most often,
The greatest
which is 3.5 inches. Why? Because it has 4 dots, the most.
number of dots is above the fraction 3 1/2 in the line plot. The length that occurred least often was 2 1/2 inches. How do you know that the 2 1/2 inch length occurred least often?
So 2.5 is the least often because it has only 1 dot. Okay, so because it has only 1 dot, which is the least number of dots. Okay, I will ask a question. If I have a fraction doesn't have any dot within this number line, it will be the least often? No, because it has nothing. It should be at least has 1 dot to be the least often.
The least number of dots is above the fraction 2 1/2 in the line plot. Now you know how you can measure lengths and use line plots to show the data.
Great job!
Let's go to the book. Okay. Question number 3, page 647. Question number 3, measure the length of each of your fingers. List the measurements to the nearest ½ inch. So you can measure your fingers, okay? Let's say that we have, for example, 1.5 inch. So because you have 5 fingers, so you should write 5 lengths of your fingers. So let's see that you have the first one is 1.5 inches, the second finger 2 inches. So because we should list the measurements to the nearest ½ inches, to the nearest ½ inches. Let's continue. So 2 inches, let's see, the third one is 2.5 inches, and the fourth one 2 inches, and the fifth finger is 1 inch. Let's see, this is an example here too. Okay, make a line plot. Question number 4, make a line plot to show the measurements of your fingers. So now we will plot these measurements, these numbers in a number line. Okay. Okay, let's see to put a number line or to draw a number line. Okay. Let's start from the least number, which is 1. 1.5, then because to the nearest half, 1.5, and then 2, and then 2.5, and then 3. If he asks you in question number 3 to the nearest ¼ inch, so you should do 1/4, then 2/4. So you should do 1/4 plus 1/4, 2/4 plus 1/4, and so on. If it comes more than 1, So it will be 1 over 4, then 1 2 over 4, then 1 3, and so on. Okay, here to the nearest half. Okay, how many 1 inch do I have? Let's plot the points now. How many 1 inch do I have? I have only here 1, so I will put only 1 dot. 1.5, I have also 1. 2 inches, I have this finger and this finger are 2 inches, so I will put 2 dots above the 2 inches. 2.5, I have here 1, 2.5. Sorry, this 2 and this 2 inches. This is 2.5. I'll have only 1. I will put this dot. So here this is how I make a line and how I plot the points on the number line. Let's move to question number 5. Measure the lengths of the yarn at the right to the nearest half inch. Write the length for each piece. Here we should use the ruler, and we should, let me show you how to put the ruler and how to measure it. Okay, you should line up the ruler at the 0 here, for example, and you should put it on the inch unit and measure it. And you see here how much it is. Okay, but your ruler should be, it should be numbered in inches. Okay, let's move to the next page. On this page, page 648, I will solve with you question number 14. Jessica built a birdhouse. The 3 different sizes of nails she used are shown below. Jessica used 4 of nail A, 2 of nail B, and 3 of nail C. Measure each nail to the nearest half inches. Then complete the line plot to show the size of the nails. Okay, here we can use you should use the ruler to measure each nail in your book. So you will line it up on the 0, then you measure it. Nail A is 1.5 inches, and because we have 4 nail A, so I will put 4 dots above 1.5. 1 2 3 4. Okay, now going to nail B it's about half inch. And how many nails do we have of nail B? 2. So I will put 2 dots above the half inch. Nail C, we have 3 of nail C. The measure of nail C is 2 inches. Because I have 3 of nail C, I will put 3 dots. And this is the lesson for today.